Us mums are notorious for the mum guilt, especially when it comes to creating an intentionally slower family life. We've got a lot of stories, myths, and mindset errors that come around slow living. And today I want to bust through some of those to help you take a few more actions and a few more steps towards a slower family life. My name's Rochelle, I'm your host. This is How to Live Slow. I created How to Live Slow as an antidote to the overwhelm of being a modern mum. Yeah, so some of the myths that I find come up around choosing a slower life include it's for lazy people, it's for people who are introverts and don't like going to things or don't like seeing people. People with kids can't live slow. Slow living is for people who are boring and don't know how to have fun. What else is there? Let me know down below. What are some of the things that you feel like are barriers to changing your life and living a little bit slower? I'd love to know. So I would challenge all of those myths and say that it's all about mindset. It always comes back to how you feel and how you want to live your life. So even though we think of slow living as being something for lazy people, it's actually for people who are living intentionally. And intention means that you're getting the most fulfillment and use out of your precious time and resources and creating those quality moments, because that is what happens here. Slow living is for moments that matter. So here are a few things that you can do to implement more little moments of slow living into your life. The first one is very easy, and it's actually really good for the environment as well. So when you go to a coffee shop, for example, which I love to do, I like to go to the coffee shop almost every day. I sit in to drink my coffee out of a proper cup rather than a takeaway cup. And I take that 10 minutes where I'm drinking my coffee to intentionally sit and enjoy the coffee. And if I'm with somebody, I have a conversation with them, or I will sit and enjoy the ambience of the place that I'm in. It's really fun, actually, to notice the people coming and going. I have actually made multiple friends through running into the same people every morning. So it starts off as I'm just intentionally enjoying my coffee and sitting in and enjoying this actual 10 minutes, which having a coffee break is actually meant to be a break. So I started off with me doing that, having a little 10-minute break, and it turned into I now have a few friends that I see around, and I've gotten to know the people at the coffee shop. They know my name, I know theirs. I've made a few friends that I see sometimes when I'm out the streets walking and that sort of thing. I feel a bit more like part of my local community. I think that is something that we can all appreciate, having the chance to just connect with our community, and sitting in to have a 10-minute coffee break is a perfect way to get started with that, and it's just easy to do. Another way that slow living can really impact the enjoyment of your life is when you agree to something and you say, yes, I'm going to have that play date, or yes, I'm going to go to that birthday party, or yes, let's have dinner with those friends. Because you have intentionally set that time in your diary, and if you're a good slow liver, you have not back-to-back your schedule so that you're not having to think about rushing off to the next appointment or the next activity or the next diary entry, then it means that if you're having a good time and you're catching up with your friend, you're at a play date, the kids are playing really nicely and they're getting along, you're not rushing them to leave to get to the next thing. If you want to stay, you can. And if you are living slow, you have more opportunity to stay and enjoy the moments that you're in, and let the moments that you're in naturally come to their end, rather than going, oh, I've got to go because I've got the next appointment to get to. And it's just a fantastic feeling that you can really commit to those relationships where you're with somebody and let those conversations flow naturally and not rush them along. Even if you don't see another adult for the rest of the week, you feel like you have gotten your social needs met. And that's a really important thing. So another way that slow living can bring you really deep joy and satisfaction is by playing one more game. How often do you spend time with your kids constantly saying, hey mum, can you play a game with me? Hey mum, can you do colouring in with me? Hey mum, can you read me this book? Or whatever it is. And you say, yes, in a minute, I will, I'm just going to do this, I'm just doing that, and then you do. And then you finally find that you've finished all your jobs, you sit down and you spend 10 minutes with your kids, and they say, come on, let's play again, let's play again. But by the time that 10 minutes has passed, you're like, oh, I've got to hang the washing out, or oh, I've got to get started with dinner. But if you have the mindset of living slow, of living in the moment, of being intentional, your highest priority are your family relationships, then you can tell yourself it's okay if we eat a little bit later tonight. I'm enjoying this moment. My kids are having fun. I'm going to indulge in another game. I'm going to let them stay up 5 minutes later and read another book. Staying in that moment and enjoying and playing another round of the game, or having a dance party, listening to another song, just being a fun mum. We all want to be more fun as mums, right? And we all want to find those ways where we can engage with our kids. And you know what? One of the really great benefits of spending more time playing and enjoying time with our kids is that they're better behaved. They're more connected to us, so they're more likely to do the thing that you need them to do, e.g. put their shoes on because you need to get out of the house, or we're going to be late for school or whatever. So it goes both ways. You get better family life, you feel more fulfilled, and the kids are more cooperative because you've taken the time to really engage in their world. And I think that's a really important and valuable thing to do, and something that we all strive towards. And it really eases that mum guilt that we have. Okay, so there are a couple more things that you can do to create an intentionally slower family life. But before I get to them, I wanted to share with you a new segment that I'm going to be trying in these videos. I just wanted to share with you what I'm reading today. This week I'm reading a book by Marie Forleo. Last week I went to see her speak live here in Brisbane. This is her new book. It's called Everything is Figure-Outable. I'm really enjoying it. I got it free. This one is a signed copy. I've also been listening to it on Audible, so I've been flicking back and forth. This is a great book. So Marie Forleo, if you don't know, is one of the OG online life and business coaches. She has an amazing program called B School, which teaches you how to have an online business. So she goes through a lot of examples in how to apply the concept of everything is figure-outable to your life. She has a channel on YouTube called Marie TV, and she has a weekly show as well. And she talks a lot about the concept of beginner's mind. She says that you need to ask yourself the question, how can this apply for me? So instead of saying, oh, okay, that doesn't work for me, or that won't work in my situation, ask yourself the question, how does this apply to my life? How can I implement one or two of the things of this advice to create change in my own life in a way that actually works for me? And that's what I want to recommend for you today. If you want to make an intentionally slower family life, and some of the ideas that I'm sharing don't seem to apply, or you can't see how they might work for you, ask yourself, how can they? How can you make a few changes or little tweaks to your life for a big impact? I'm sure there's at least one thing that you can do to create a little bit more slowness and a little bit more intentionality and fulfillment in your life. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to share with you is that slow living and being more intentional can create more time for practicing. So in my last video, I talked a little bit about how sometimes we find our worth is tied to our productivity, and the time that we spend it feels like we need to always be doing something that is creating value. I want to learn a language, and I have signed up to lots of different language apps. I have attended classes, and I've just never really kept up with it. I'm really keen to become a conversational speaker in Spanish, and I just need to just commit more time to it. And I guess I don't find the time because I have this story that is an indulgent way to spend my time, and that it's not a very productive way to spend my time. And I'm sure your list is a mile long too, of all the things you would love to do. For example, we go on holidays, we always take a book with us, right? And we never read it. Those are the things that we can get done, and they actually make us feel quite fulfilled. If I was conversational in Spanish, I would feel so amazing, but because there's no other value other than my desire to do it, it doesn't seem to be high on the list. And this may come back to self-care as well. And self-care can sometimes, I'm going to talk a little bit more about self-care in upcoming videos, because I think that a lot of the time we've gotten self-care quite wrong. And anyway, that might be a little hint to you about the things that we can do that make us feel fulfilled, is basically what self-care is. So if you want to see that video, hit subscribe and you will not miss it. The final way that slow living and being more intentional with our lives can really impact our fulfillment is by being mindful. And this goes without saying, but if we're more mindful, we can be more aware of our thoughts. We can be more aware of the stories we tell us and the mindset that we're in. We are often not aware of the stories that we tell ourselves. Like I talked about as well in my previous video, I have the story that I'm a procrastinator and that I don't finish things. So in my previous video, I gave a few ideas of how to structure your day so that you can get past that story. But if I hadn't spent some time being present and realizing that that's a story that I was telling myself, I wouldn't have been able to make some impactful changes around structuring my day so that I could prove to myself that I'm not a procrastinator and that the things I was doing are the reasons why I was procrastinating. So that's just one story. And I challenge you to think about over the next week, really be mindful about the thoughts and the stories that you tell yourself, and see if you can come up with something that's not true that you have come to believe because you have not been aware or as present or as mindful about those stories, and see if there's something that you can do to make a change, prove yourself wrong. Let me know in the comments again. I would absolutely love to know. Okay, so now it's up to you. I would love to know, was there something in this video that really hit home for you, that made you feel like you could make a change and that maybe you can do slow living and maybe you can have that intentionally slower family life that brings a little bit more fulfillment and enjoyment and fun to your life? If you did, please let me know down below, and I would love to hear your stories about how you've made some changes. Now, if you did like this video, if you're loving this channel, I'd love to invite you to join my community. And you can do that in two ways. The first is very easy. You just hit that subscribe button down in the box down below. And you can also hit the bell and YouTube will notify you when new videos go live. If you don't know, new videos go live every Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Australian Standard Time, Eastern Standard Time. Now, the second way that you can join this community is the best way you can join this community, and that is by clicking the description box down below. There's a link there where you can pop your name and email, and I will be able to send you email updates, so letting you know when videos are live. And thank you to everybody that's already subscribed. I really appreciate you being founding members of this channel. It really makes me so happy. Right, so my name's Rochelle. This is How to Live Slow. Thank you so much for choosing to spend some of your precious time with me, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week. Have a great week ahead, and I will see you soon. Bye.